Hi everyone, Canoopsy here, and the iPhone 11. It's the new kind of standard iPhone for everyone, and it really is a great, solid device. But Apple did something a little bit interesting this year and actually kept the previous generation iPhone XR from last year also for sale alongside the iPhone 11. And the iPhone XR also got a price cut to $600 US or $800 Canadian versus $700 US or $980 Canadian for the new iPhone 11. So $100, that is the difference in pricing between the iPhone XR and the new iPhone 11. And this review is all about my honest thoughts using this phone for the last little while and taking into account the slightly cheaper iPhone XR that's still for sale. So if you're looking for a new iPhone, this video is important. Let's get into it. This video is brought to you by Casetify, the best option to add some serious protection to your phone as well as next level customization. Hit the link in the description to learn more and use the coupon code Canoopsy15 for 15% off your purchase. So the extra cash you're spending to get the new iPhone 11 versus the previous iPhone XR, what does that extra money get you? Well, you get a slightly new back design with stronger glass, this matte finish around the camera while the rest is glossy. You get these sick new colors, but the mint color is my absolute favorite. Also, when the flashlight's on, the entire back of the phone, all the sides light up as well. It looks so cool in person. But the main headlining features here are the new cameras and better battery life. So let's talk about those things first. So the selfie camera up front has this new wide mode, pictures look sharp and beautiful. You can also take 4K videos with the selfie camera too, which is pretty awesome. Well, the new rear camera setup is definitely the big deal here for sure. You have a standard 12 megapixel main camera and a brand new 12 megapixel 120 degree ultra wide camera that is tons of fun. Whether it be outdoors in bright light or indoors in low light, the main camera slays all the time. Between software processing, smart HDR, and other tweaks, you're gonna love this phone's camera. The wide camera is also excellent for getting super unique wide shots and more in the frame, but it won't be as sharp and results won't look as good as the main camera. But for you, it most likely won't matter because the results are worth some of the small quality trade-offs. Regardless, I'm very happy with the photos overall coming out of this phone, and I think you will definitely be too. It's easily a top contender for the best phone camera of the year by far. The results speak for themselves. And there's also, of course, portrait mode here with the main camera that takes some really nice shots of more than just people. You can actually do objects this year compared to the XR, which was just people and faces, which kind of sucked. You also have this new night mode that comes on in low light. You don't really have control over when it comes on or how well it works, but it does work, and it works really, really well. So those are kind of the main features you've definitely heard of, but there's also something kind of unique that Apple added this year in the Photos app. If you take a picture of something during the day and when you get home you're not really a fan of how the framing looks and the composition of the photo, you can actually go into the Photos editor and instead of cropping in, you can actually zoom out. Basically, the main camera takes pictures at the exact same time as the wide-angle camera, and through Apple's software magic, it actually stitches together both the pictures to give you a wider field of view, so you can actually reframe your shots after you've taken them. It's a very small, but extremely practical feature. There's also, of course, iOS 13's brand new photo editing suite that's actually built into the main Photos application, and it gives a lot of features that VSCO and Instagram offer for basic editing. It's just good to have it. This editing also works for videos too, and you can actually adjust many of the simple settings that I just showed that are useful for on-the-go clip editing. And speaking of videos, 4K recordings up to 60 frames per second, and this phone takes some of the best video recordings on any phone I've ever used. Between the stabilization, dynamic range, and overall quality here, videos look hot. This could be your main camera for YouTube, vacations, whatever. It is so good. And for the battery life on this phone, it's pretty damn good. The phone always lasts me a day of usage guaranteed. I wake up at 6 a.m., use the phone all day for video watching, social media stuff, taking pictures all the time, responding to emails. I use this thing a lot. By the end of the day, around 11 o'clock at night, I hit around 15 to 20% battery left when I actually stop and charge the phone. Now this battery life is great, but it's also very similar to the previous iPhone XR where I got very similar amounts of usage time, so it's not a huge improvement from last year's phone. It's very similar. You can also charge the phone wirelessly or wired, but the charger in the box is awfully slow, so you may want to get a faster charger from Amazon for some quicker charging speeds. So besides those new features I just talked about, the rest of the phone is very similar overall to the iPhone XR, but that's not really a bad thing. The design, as I talked about earlier, is basically identical to the previous iPhone XR, besides a few small changes. It's still a thick phone, the same form factor, the same notch for Face ID that unlocks pretty much instantly now, so that is a little bit faster, and the same display as the XR as well. The display itself is just over 720p in resolution and it's LCD, so you expect it to look like trash overall based on what people are saying and those specifications. But it's actually not that bad. Don't listen to me, don't listen to anyone. Go check it out in stores for yourself, see how it looks in person, because only you will know if you like it or not. It's not that super sharp and you can't really watch videos in full 1080p resolution, but for my testing, even coming from the iPhone 11 Pro, the display is not awful. It's definitely fine. But even at a cheaper price for an iPhone, having a sharper display would definitely be much appreciated for sure. And of course, performance. If you want to buy a super fast phone, the iPhone 11 is definitely it. No matter what you throw at this thing, from just regular standard day-to-day usage like switching apps, multitasking, all that stuff, to more intensive stuff like exporting and rendering videos, multitasking, you can do whatever you want on this phone and it's going to be super quick all the time. You're going to feel the speed for sure. And if you're coming from an older iPhone or older Android phone, this thing's going to feel like a major upgrade for you, definitely. So the iPhone 11, despite being very close to the iPhone XR, actually does offer a few awesome upgrades and features that may pique your interest into buying this phone versus last year's phone that is cheaper. To put it in the simplest, summarized terms, you can't go wrong with the iPhone 11. It kind of offers the entire iPhone experience at a much more reduced price versus the more expensive iPhone 11 Pro and 11 Pro Max. But you also really can't go wrong with the iPhone XR either, as they're very similar devices, but one is $100 cheaper. It's up to you. Do you want the camera? Do you want some of the upgrades, the better battery life? Do you want the new colors and just the status of having a new phone? Then get the 11. If those things don't really matter to you, just get the XR. It's a good deal. This video was brought to you by Casetify. Casetify makes protective, slim, and extremely customizable, beautiful cases. You can choose from a huge range of unique and creative designs or make your own from scratch in Casetify's custom studio. And there's more to these cases than just how they look. They're also hella protective. 6 feet drop protection on their impact cases and 10 feet drop protection on their new ultra impact cases. These cases use a special material called Chi-Tech that gives excellent corner drop protection to keep your expensive phone safe from even the worst of drops. If you want a protective case but don't want it to be bulky, ugly, and thick, Casetify has you and your phone covered with some sick options. Hit the link in the description to learn more about Casetify's cases and use the code Canoopsy15 for 15% off your purchase. So what do you think of the new iPhone 11? Is it worth it, or should you actually buy the iPhone XR for a little bit cheaper? Tell me in the comments down below, and thank you for watching.